Rolled up paper mode. That's right, Impulses is back. This year sponsored by MicroEssentials, taking the world by storm. Let's start with the fantastic freshman at Penn State. Quarterback Christian Hackenberg gets the start in week 1 solid. In week 2, I believe he is going to blow up. Here we go. Christian Hackenberg, for the first time in his young Penn State career, over 300 yards against Eastern Michigan.
I know you're excited because we're debuting this segment, but I'm going to disagree with you, Mr. Pizzo. I thought he was one of the biggest performances, biggest storylines of week 1, but Penn State did not run the football in week 1. I think they make a better commitment to running the football, at which Christian Hackenberg, Eric, doesn't have to do as much work.
Hey, well, I think if he can do it once, he can do it twice. I agree with you. I think he comes in and has a 300-yard day. I think because he's got the big arm, he proved that he can do it, and he's just a freshman, so that confidence is there that he can get that done.
Eastern Michigan's defensive secondary is porous, to say the least. Impulse number 2 takes me to Madison, Wisconsin, where last week the Badgers had not 1, not 2, but 3 running backs over 100 yards. My impulse tells me Wisconsin becomes the first Big Ten team in 2 decades to do that 2 weeks in a row as White, Gordon, and Clement all go over the century mark again.
I agree with you completely. I think that they're going to do that. They're going to go over the century mark 3 times, and it's going to happen because they're powerful, they're physical, and they've got all different attributes at running back. They've got guys that can lower the helmet and hit you. They've got guys that are slashing type runners. And that offensive line, I'll tell you what, for all these years in a row, if you look at a Big Ten team, I'm saying Wisconsin is that team to model yourself after in the running game.
And the opponent this week may play into it a little bit.
You know what, Eric? I'm going to give you a pass because this is your first time on the Pulse, because I know you're probably wanting to make Rick feel good and everything, so you're going to agree with everything he has to say. I disagree again with you, Mr. Pizzo. That was just the 3rd time in school history that it happened last week. You think they're going to do it 2 weeks in a row?
I don't know why you're going to be so angry.
I think they're going to have an outstanding day running the football. I just don't think all 3 go over the
I know
century
Impulses is sponsored this year. I know we changed the promo for the show. Perhaps a little bit of anger coming from Derek Radley. I'm just saying. Northwestern conventional belief is that they win with their funky offense. But how about defense? 11 INTs in their last 4 games. And my impulse tells me that won't stop. I believe the Wildcats, for a 5th straight game, have at least 2 interceptions.
All right. I'm going to agree with you because I do agree. I think that Northwestern's defense is starting to become a strength for them when in the past it has been a weakness. And they're going to go against Syracuse, who we know faced Penn State last week. Their quarterback, Drew Allen, just so you guys know, was only 43% completions on his passes. He threw 0 touchdowns. And how many interceptions, Rick?
More than 0.
He threw 2 interceptions. I agree with you.
Well, I disagree. I really think that they're going to come, now that you've jinxed them, I think that there's no possible way for them to have 2 interceptions in this game. They do play well, but not this week.
It's the Impulse jinx, according to Eric Crouch. No one knows about it yet. We'll see if it happens with Northwestern. And finally, we turn our attention back to the marquee game of the weekend, Michigan and Notre Dame. I know Michigan has won 3 of the last 4 against the Irish. I know they've scored the game-winning touchdown in the final 30 seconds in each one. I just don't see it. Tommy Rees seems like a different quarterback. Devin Gardner is different than Denard Robinson, and that Irish defense struggled against him. I think Brian Kelly's team gets it done. My impulse tells me in the last scheduled game at Michigan Stadium, Notre Dame comes out victorious.
Woo! I am going to disagree. I think in the big house, Michigan is going to win this football game. They're going to win it with power offense and power defense. They're going to push these guys around. It's not the same Notre Dame team that we've seen in the past. I think they're going to control Tommy Rees at the quarterback position, and you're going to see Michigan walk away with a victory in this one.
Good answer, Heisman. Can I start calling him Heisman? Can
if you like.
I mean,
why are you asking me? You should probably ask him.
If there's one nickname
that
should be allowed on this show, we should be able to call Eric Crouch Heisman whenever we want. I agree with Eric. I'm disagreeing with you. I think Michigan's going to have what it takes to get the W this year. Too much magic from 2 years ago. It rubs off in the game this weekend.
And for the first time this year, I get to do that to the viewing audience. Impulses, of course, will be back next week. But first, before the curtain comes down on this week's edition of The Pulse, we touch on confused coaches, cutting out week celebrations, and lacing up the skates on a football field. Rack, you're from Minnesota. You know about that.
You know it.